Good morning, everybody. I'm Van Rogerson, President of NC East Alliance. Thank you for joining us for this very timely webinar, considering this about veterans. This is a very special week honoring veterans, so thank you for joining us. This is our second webinar focusing on the untapped talent pool. Back last month, we had a webinar on prison work release and formerly incarcerated workers. If in fact you want to go back and see that very popular webinar, you can find it on our website. Today, though, we're focusing on veterans and the transitioning military. I want to give a special thank you to Sarah Bernard with EDP-NC. She's our regional partner. Thank you, Sarah, for letting us partner with you on this webinar, on this really popular, important topic. If you let me briefly just talk about our sponsors who help us have these webinars. ECU, Integrated Financial Holdings and Vidant are our platinum sponsors. Our gold sponsors are Bulling Company, Dominion Power, Electricities, and our silver sponsors are Duke Energy, Evolve, Nutrien, Edenton Chowan, Kilpatrick Townsend, Martin Marietta, and PNC. We would love to have some more of you join us as advocacy partners trying to make a difference in the East, Northeast region. So thank you for joining us today. I'm going to turn it over to Trey to go over a few Zoom logistics for today. Hope you enjoyed it. We got some great speakers.
Thank you, Van. As always, we're going to quickly run through the Zoom logistics for today. We will have a question and answer session at the end of today's webinar. So if you have any questions today, please try and hold those until the end. And but if throughout any of the presentations you'd like to go ahead and submit a question, you can do so by clicking that Q&A box in the bottom left, type in your question and submit it. And if you'd like to ask a question live at the end, you can do so by clicking that raise hand icon. We'll unmute you and you can ask your question live. The chat box will also be available if you'd like to submit your questions there, and we may submit any helpful links or resources in the chat box, so please keep a lookout for those. If at any point during today's webinar you need to adjust your audio settings, you can do so by clicking that audio setting tab in the bottom left and adjust your settings as needed. You may want to check this out if you plan on asking a question live and make sure your microphone is working correctly. If you need to adjust your screen options today, you can do so by clicking that View Options tab in the upper middle and adjust your screen as needed. You can also click the 4 arrows in the top right to enter and exit full screen mode as needed. That should cover everything. So now I'll turn it over to our moderator for today, retired U.S. Navy Captain, Keith Wheeler. Keith.
Thanks, Trey. Good morning, everybody. As Trey said, Keith Wheeler. I'm your moderator for this morning for this great group of panelists that we have. A little bit about me. I grew up in Manteo. Went to the School of Science and Math in Durham for a couple of years, and from there went to Annapolis. Graduated from the Naval Academy and became a surface warfare officer in the Navy. So served on warships all around the world for a little over 27 years. About 10 years of that was spent in DC. I had a couple of tours at the Pentagon on the Navy staff and on the Secretary of Defense staff, and also spent 3 years just down the road from the Pentagon at DARPA as the chief of staff there. So it is my honor today to moderate this panel. And I think we'll go ahead and kick it off with the first speaker. Let me introduce Ms. Kimberly Williams. She has more than 30 years experience leading human resource professionals in the private sector, public sector, and nonprofit environment. Her experience in the private sector includes several large organizations, to include Burger King Corporation, where she directed the HR function for the entire United States. Her experience in the public sector and nonprofit includes directing HR functions in local government, school division, healthcare, and workforce housing. She's currently the Chief Human Resource Officer for the City of Jacksonville. And her passion for assisting military members began with serving as a volunteer with the Virginia Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve, as regional chair and later as state director for their Employment Initiative program. She also initiated the Virginia Values Veterans V3 program, a statewide initiative to ensure employment of our servicemen and women. She's twice been presented the 7 SEALs Award for meritorious leadership and initiative in support of the DoD. And she founded and is currently leading the North Carolina statewide employment initiative under the Veterans Foundation NC for Me, North Carolina for Military Employment, a comprehensive public-private partnership. She also currently serves as a member of the Governor's Working Group for Veterans and their families. So without further ado, Ms. Kimberly Williams, take it away.
Thank you for the introduction, Keith. I truly appreciate it. So I appreciate having the opportunity to talk to people about, and certainly our employers in North Carolina, about a value proposition. I want to start, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And so let's make sure that goes off without a hitch. And I'm assuming you can see the screen then, Keith, is that correct?
Yes.
Fantastic. So again, my name is Kimberly Williams, and I did start NC for Me, which is a private-public partnership. We sit under the governor's office. We also work directly with the Department of Commerce and with the Department of Military Veterans Affairs. And the private side of that is we're funded by a lot of companies across the state. We were started as an economic development initiative. I learned quickly, I did not know this, that the #1 driver for economic development is talent. That was new to me. I always thought it was airways or roadways, but it's interesting when companies want to come to North Carolina, they want to know if we have the talent in our state. And we can certainly track our talent that's exiting our bases and also track our veteran talent through our NC Works offices. So we partner with NC Works. So we were started as an economic development initiative. My background is strictly in human resources, as you heard. And so I thought this is a great opportunity for me to use my knowledge, skills, and abilities to make sure our service members, transitioning service members, our veterans, our Guard and reservists, and our military spouses get meaningful careers. So we started this process by educating employers on the value. It's very interesting because 1% of the nation's population is in the military, and the other 99% are people like me that really don't understand the value. And you know, when I started this work, often I would be approached by different organizations that would want to come and speak to my office on why to hire military. And they had a lot of videos with American flags and, you know, guys in uniform doing great jobs and, you know, hire a veteran, it's the right thing to do. And I really had to sit and think about that. And I thought, you know, I've never really hired anyone because it's the right thing to do. Now, that would be nice if we did. But the reality is we hire people that are a proven success in driving bottom line results because that's what we're measured against. So I quickly understood that I needed to pivot and really educate employers on this as a value proposition. Don't hire a veteran because it's the right thing to do. You know, we get that. The bottom line is hire someone that's going to drive your business results. And if you're going to do that, you're definitely going to want to look at veterans. So that's what I'm here today to talk to you about is military talent in the workplace. This is the best time to talk about that because obviously the employment climate has become very competitive. And so I'm going to talk about really a pool of candidates that are right at your fingertips. So with that said, I think you all probably know 70 to 80% of an organization's budget is spent on human resources. Doesn't matter if you're producing a widget, if you're providing a service. 70 to 80% of everything, every dollar you have is spent on those HR, whether it's salary, whether it's benefits, whatever the case may be. So obviously, it's very important that we attract and we select and that we retain our high-performing candidates, right? I mean, we're going to invest in them in training and development. We're going to spend our money. We want to keep them, and particularly knowing that the majority of our budget is spent in human resources. So today, I want to talk about military candidates and why they're a proven success in driving bottom line results. One key note is that 80% of military occupational specialties have a civilian counterpart, many without any additional training. And the key ingredient with our military talent is the increased retention rates. We all on this call know what turnover costs are, and it differs per position. But the lowest turnover cost I've ever seen is 25% of base. So you're talking about getting people on the job that are willing to stay on the job and perform at a higher level. Also, decreased recruitment costs, and that's mostly because anything we do with NC for Me, we're happy to work with each and every one of you. We don't charge for our services. So there's absolutely, when I tell people that, they almost think it's too good to be true, because when I start talking about our results side of this, I think you're going to understand why. I'd like to start with a quick video that's 2 minutes long. So I'm going to push this and hope we can get in and out of it quickly, but let me know if there's any issues hearing. Turn up your,
We're on a mission to make North Carolina the #1 state for military employment. We challenge you, employers, to honor veterans by hiring veterans. It'll help your business as well. So, are you on board?
North Carolina for Military Employment wants to challenge you to honor veterans by hiring veterans. Because if you're not hiring veterans, your competition is. Are you on board?
20 years ago, after 9/11, the first boots on the ground in the global war on terror were from right here in North Carolina. Today, those same heroes and their spouses continue to transition into the civilian workforce. Let's honor these heroes by hiring these heroes. At the North Carolina Department of Commerce, we're on board. Are you?
At Marine Federal, over 1/3 of our employees are veterans or military spouses. Marine Federal is on board. Are you?
Lowe's is on board because we know the value that service members and military spouses bring to our organization.
Cisco's on board because together we can make a difference.
The City of Jacksonville is on board with the hiring of veterans. Are you on board?
MetLife is on board with hiring military veterans. Are you on board?
At Spectrum, about 1 in 10 of our employees have a military affiliation. We're on board because we're committed to hiring, developing, and mentoring veterans.
Truist is on board for veteran hiring because we know the value that service members bring to our organization.
Grady White Boats is on board with hiring our veterans and military spouses. When it's your turn to transition from military service, know that the skills and leadership that you learned are in high demand in the civilian workforce.
Pike is on board because you defended our country and we need your help to build it.
At Jarrett Bay, we understand the sacrifices of service members and their families.
We're on board. So are you on board with hiring veterans and military spouses?
We're on board with hiring veterans.
Are you?
That's a take.
So I'm hoping everybody was able to see that video and hear it. We tried to make sure that we had good representation across the state. We're looking forward to doing that again. But what we wanted to do was get some of our corporate partners that understand the value of bringing military talent into their organization, because it is a value proposition. And as you heard me say, if you're not hiring veterans, your competition is. So let's talk about why. What do veterans bring to the table? And then let's talk about how. So bottom line is 65% of veterans have some college education. And 68% of the employers, and this is through the Society of Human Resource Management Foundation, 68% of employees report that veterans perform better than or much better than their civilian counterparts. And key is that 57% of veterans stay in the job longer than the median average, the tenure of 2.5 years. So obviously a group of candidates that we need to look at, particularly in this market where employment is tight. So when we look at high performing candidates, it's interesting to me because when I talk to people in human resources and strategic leaders across the state, and I say, can I take a look at your performance evaluations? This is what you see. These are competencies, right? Project management, teamwork, valuing diversity, ethics, and integrity. It's interesting because if each of you look at your performance evaluations in your organization, I'm going to guarantee you're going to see a large majority of this. And the reason I can do that is because most of these are pulled from Fortune 500 competencies. These are the competencies that people measure against to see if people are performing and also employ against. So when we put together interview questions, they're based on many of these competencies. Interestingly enough, when I got into this work, I had this perception in my head of service members, right? Driving tanks, wearing uniforms, shooting guns. And because I'm that 99%, I'm not the 1% that serve. And to me, it's interesting to find out that our service members are evaluated on their performance on these similar competencies. These are the soft skills they're evaluated against. So I don't see shooting guns or driving tanks on here. Now, technical skill set, yes, they train regularly. But when they're evaluated on performance, not every year like most of us, or even every 6 months like the majority of us, but every month. So these are high performing candidates that are trained on how they effectively deliver their competencies every month. In addition to that, we have a large majority of those individuals in our state. We are the 4th largest Department of Defense presence in the US, North Carolina. That means we have a lot of veterans. We have a lot of military spouses. As a matter of fact, a couple key numbers on this slide. Guard and Reserve, 21,288 Guard and Reserve. Now, not all of those are unemployed or underemployed, but a large majority are. And our Adjutant General, who is on our board at NC4Me, wants to keep our Guard and Reserve members here in North Carolina. So we want to make sure they've got meaningful employment. You look at the 20,000 service members that exit our bases every year, and the majority of those that exit our bases are not leaving for a job, they're leaving and looking for a job. And NC4Me can help you with that because we have a presence in Fort Bragg, Camp Lejeune, New River, Cherry Point, Seymour Johnson. So we work with companies to make sure they understand how they can connect with the military talent. This is our approach at NC4Me, and it works really well. And I'd love to work with any companies that are interested in bringing military talent to the organization. If they want to hire high-performing talent, reduce their recruitment cost, and increase their retention rates, we can certainly help you. So we do 3 things. We deliver the value proposition. What does that mean? We educate strategic leaders across the state on the value of bringing military talent to the organization with real data. So we get them excited about the idea of hiring our veterans and our transitioning service members and Guard and Reservists. Then we also get engaged with HR professionals and accredited training. We are accredited by the Society of Human Resource Management, the national SHRM, so that when we teach anything on hiring vets, the HR professionals in your organization can get continuing education credits, and we're happy to come into organizations and do that. And then finally, once we get strategic leaders truly excited about it, HR professionals really excited because it helps them minimize their workload, then they say, how do we find them? How do we connect? So we have a Career Connection 365 tool. We had previously done nothing but hiring events. And I want to make sure I'm clear here. These are not job fairs. Job fairs have about a 2% success rate. These are hiring events. That's when we actually predetermine who comes to our hiring events. You let us know. We'll only do 30 to 40 employers at an event. We identify the jobs that you're looking to fill, and then we have a pool of military talent that are looking for positions, and we match for you. And then we provide that information to you. You can look it over in advance and say yes or no to those candidates, and then we schedule them for you. So that you will have a scheduled a list of scheduled candidates for that day. You interview those, and we right now have a 50% success rate. So if you think about that, if we put 10 people in front of you, we're pretty much guaranteed you're going to want to hire 5 of those individuals. So what we've done is we've done 10 hiring events a year. It's a lot of work to pull those off. And so I've been asked regularly, what are you doing the other 355 days? And it made me think I need to do something. So we have now a Career Connection. We call it Career Connection 365. We partnered with a national company, a veteran-owned company, and it's a skills to skills match, not a job to job match. So for example, if we have someone that exits the infantry, 99% of the time when you do that through an electronic management system, they will tell you they need to be a police officer. Here in my office, I have 2 infantrymen from the Marine Corps. I want you to think about this. I have a gentleman that has retired 25 years, infantry, Marine Corps, sergeant major, sniper. I want you to think about what that conjures up in your mind. He's an HR manager for me and one of the best I've ever seen, because 99% of what he did was HR. The other, 1% on some of the logistics around human resources, I could teach him in 6 months, but the employee relations piece, I can't teach that you have to acquire. So this is a skills to skills matching tool. If you go to ncforme.org, you will see that we're piloting it right now with a limited amount of companies to make sure that the matching tool is exactly what we want. But again, There's no charge for any of those services. These are our results to date. We have educated over 5,200 leaders across the state that understand the value and now say, hey, we want to put an employee resource program in our organizations to hire veterans. We want it part of our strategic initiatives. We have educated through accredited training over 1,200 HR professionals, over 4,000 documented interviews, and over 50% of those have landed jobs or gone through a second interview process that ended up in a position. So as you can see, my closing slide for your no-cost solution to find a high-performing talent, we would like to help you do that. At this point, I am done, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Kimberly. Are there any questions from the group? I see one from Rachel Miller. Do you offer as needed HR services?
Well, you'd have to define as needed HR services. We do help educate your HR team on the values so that they understand when it's someone that comes into the organization needs to be seen with military talent, just like a civilian. We're happy to train in that respect, but as needed HR services, we kind of have to define what that means.
Yep, Rachel followed up with, in conjunction with hiring. She's a small business. They've just been brought on to a fractional COO, or they've just brought on a fractional COO, and we do not have an official HR team.
Yes. So Rachel, at kwilliams@ncforme.org, send me an email. We'll set up a call and we can help provide some options for you.
That's
I appreciate the time. I know we're going to have a Q&A at the end. I'm happy to
Yeah, we're going to have a Q&A at the end. I'm showing 3 minutes. So if anybody has any specifics for Kimberly, please jump in either in chat. I guess that's the only way, Trey, right? Through chat.
You got it, through chat, and there's a Q&A box as well, but chat works just fine.
I see someone says, I love NC for me and thank you for the great events you host. Thank you. I appreciate that. Any other questions?
Here's another one that just popped up from.
Yes, military talent. Yeah, I see that. You mentioned military spouses. Are they a part of your talent pool? Yes, they are. As a matter of fact, it's interesting because the unemployment and underemployment rate with our spouses is phenomenal. As a matter of fact, the education rate with our spouses is pretty impressive. Over 40% of those military spouses have a bachelor's degree or higher. And most of them are underemployed because most of our military bases, unless they're working at a distance, virtual, most of our military bases are not in an area where there's a lot of companies. So we do work with our military spouses, and we're happy to say that we work directly with Cisco, MetLife, and Pike to make sure those military spouses are also being considered for positions that are available. So, yes.
Thank you for that. And then one more before we get to Marcus. When will the next hiring event be?
Our next hiring event, actually, I can look at our schedule. It is tomorrow. It's the partnership with North Carolina National Guard and North Carolina Department of Public Safety. So that one is virtual. I believe that one is being so we try to do these live and then we'll get some pushback. So that is today or tomorrow. And okay, it is today and it is virtual. You're probably missing it. And those hiring events, because they're predetermined, they're not walk-ins. We're late for that one. We try to cut those out at least a week in advance. We can do the matching component. But if you go to our website at ncforme.org, you will see upcoming hiring events. We are going to be doing some specifically in Fayetteville and Jacksonville because we want to bring employers. The landscape has turned. It used to be that we had hundreds and hundreds of veterans looking for jobs and employers were not hiring. Now we have hundreds of employers looking for veterans. And in order to get those veterans, we need to make sure we keep those hiring events close to home. So you'll see in 2022 that we're going to be spending a lot of time in Fayetteville in Goldsboro and in Jacksonville, where the military bases are, or the majority of them. So follow us on ncforme.org. You can get with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, any of the above, and we're happy to help you. And you've got my email address, and I'm happy to push your emails. I either handle them individually or push them to the subject matter expert on my team that can give you a better answer.
Thank you so much again, Kimberly. And like you said, we'll do some more Q&A towards the end. Now is the time for our next panelist, Marcus Cuttrell. He's a local Veterans Employment Representative at the North Carolina Department of Commerce. He's also a Navy veteran, served aboard USS George Washington, which is an aircraft carrier, CVN 73, as part of the VFA 81 Sunliner Squadron. He served there from 2000 to 2003 and is also a plank owner of VXS-1, the Warlock Scientific Development Flight Support Squadron from 03 to 06. After that, he earned his bachelor's degree in sports management from Old Dominion University. And subsequent to that, became the general manager and head golf professional, as well as adjunct professor at Lambert's Point Golf Club at Old Dominion University from 11 to 14. He was hired on from there with the Veterans Outreach Program Specialist in Elizabeth City in the NC Works program in 2015. And he was promoted also at the end of 2015 as a local Veterans Employment Representative, and that's where he currently serves. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Marcus.
Thank you, Keith. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here with my PowerPoint. All set, Keith?
Yes, I see it and hear you fine.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all for having me. Great to be here with you today. And I would like to, tell you a little bit about our NC Works Veterans Employment Services. We here at the Career Centers, we're working with our veterans and helping them find opportunities in career and provide career guidance to them. Just a little bit about the Jobs for Veterans State Grant. We have staff throughout the state of North Carolina, about 75 employees, with 13 of them being a local Veterans Employment Representative, 41 are Disabled Veteran Outreach Program Specialists, and we have about 21 of those who are a hybrid position to do a combination of both jobs. Here in the Northeast Prosperity Zone, we have 4 staff that cover 15 counties. Myself as here in Elizabeth City, and I'm a Navy veteran, like Keith told you there. We have Deshaun Bogues, he's the hybrid in Greenville. Alexis Davis is one of our new hires and Marine Corps veteran here in Elizabeth City. We are looking for a DVOP in our Greenville location, and that job is listed. The Northeast Prosperity Zone has they have 9 career centers and locations throughout the Prosperity Zone. We have 3 Workforce Development Board areas. Rivers East covers Pitt County, Beaufort County, Martin County, and a satellite office in Bertie County. The Turning Point Workforce Development Board has Halifax, Northampton County, and Hertford County locations. In the Northeast Workforce Development Board area, we have Elizabeth City office here in Pasquotank County, an Edenton office in Chowan County, and a office in Dare County as well. Those are locations that you can come to, do job fairs, talk with veterans, talk with general public, non-veterans as well. Good opportunity to get out there. So the roles and responsibilities of our Jobs for Veterans State Grant staff. The local Veterans Employment Representative, what I do as a representative for our veterans is to do outreach to our employers and businesses. I do focus on our federal contractors. We have a lot of federal contractors in our area to help them identify veterans, those that are transitioning, those that are have a career and looking for a change. So my job is to get out there, talk, build a relationship with our human resource representatives and our local federal contractors and employers. Our Disabled Veterans Outreach Program Specialist provides intensive services or one-on-one services with our veterans that may have a significant barrier to employment. They're working with them to help them with barriers with economic or educational things that may have come up and kept them from finding that career opportunity that they're looking for. And again, like I was saying earlier about the hybrid position or our consolidated staff, they do a combination of both duties, which is convenient in certain situations throughout our area. The career centers, what do the career centers provide here in our locations? All career center staff assist veterans. We offer priority of service to our veterans that enter the center and provide them with that front of the line service when they come into the career centers. They provided career guidance, resume assistance, interest assessments, labor market information, and resources for occupational skills training, internship opportunities, and hopefully and potentially working with employers on an apprenticeship opportunities. When they come to the center, they use NC Works. They are provided with a 24-hour veteran hold on all jobs that are listed on the NC Works website. And they get 24 hours in advance of non-veterans to see those posts, review them, get a referral, and apply for those opportunities. Our DVOPs provide, like I was saying earlier, that one-on-one assistance and guidance to help them overcome barriers that they may be dealing with, and just try to find that career opportunity that they're looking for. We have 6 North Carolina military bases, and this is some data that I pulled from the DoD Skills Bridge website. As you can see, projected in fiscal year 2019, they were projecting about 12,000 veterans transitioning from the service. You can look at the numbers on the left, and if you're able to add really quickly, you'll find out that that's more like 20,000 veterans that transitioned out of the service in North Carolina, as Kimberly was saying in her presentation. I also included the Norfolk and the Hampton Roads area because we have in the Northeast Prosperity Zone, we have several counties that border the Hampton Roads area, and several military bases in that area. And they have a large transitioning group in that area as well. The counties that veterans are either transiting to or relocating to include Currituck County, Pasquotank County, Perquimans, Camden, and Gates County. Not saying that's all of them, but that is a large area that is included in our Hampton Roads area. Why hire a veteran? And Kimberly showed similar slide to this as well. They have an accelerated learning curve. They've been into trainings. They've excelled in their trainings. If they've made it to the rank of E4, then they have some sort of leadership that they've learned, that they've some training that they've been through. None of them have gone through the service and not been a part of a team. They have that teamwork aspect, the diversity and inclusion in action, the diverse, huge diverse group of military service members. They perform under pressure. They're respected. They respect procedures. They're technology savvy, as well as providing or giving and seen as in their integrity, great integrity. They're conscious of their health and safety standards, and triumph over adversity. So just a few of those reasons to hire a veteran. Also want to tell our employers about our Hire Vets Medallion program that's provided by the federal government. This is the only federally recognized award provided to employers. There are about 300 employers that are recognized every year throughout the United States. Here in North Carolina, last year, we had about 24 employers awarded. In the Northeast Prosperity Zone, we had 2, which is East Carolina Vocational Center here in Greenville, received their second gold award. And also in Elizabeth City, we had Vector CSP that received the Platinum Award. Today, or actually tomorrow, they'll be listing the awards for this past year. So that should be coming out very soon. And I think we have a great representation again for this award here in the state of North Carolina. If you're interested in applying for this award, you can go to and start the application process. And it starts over for the 2020 year, January 31st, and then the application process ends April 30th. You'll be able to find the criteria for the award on hirevets.gov. The criteria include platinum and gold awards, and are listed for small, medium, and large employers. I also want to again plug Kimberly's program there with NC4Me and their hiring events. We work with them as JVSG staff to help them do some of that matching that she was talking about, and we help them to connect with employers. So if you're looking to connect with transitioning service members, as a Veterans Employment Representative, I'm going to do my best to try to connect you with NC4Me. Great way to get connected with our transitioning service members. Some additional services and resources that we provide are information on the Workforce Opportunity Tax Credit. This credit can help you as an employer to hire certain targeted groups, including the low-income, dislocated workers, veterans, and justice-involved persons. You can find more on that program at the NC Commerce website. Also, tell you a little bit about the federal bonding program. Encourages businesses to hire at-risk and hard-to-place job seekers. A little fact that you may not know about this, this also is a program that can help you to hire dishonorably discharged veterans. That may be, you might be interested in hiring. So it provides up to, and starts at $5,000 for up to 6 months to protect your company for any damages that you may accrue from hiring those individuals. The whole thing is to help get them opportunities and help them be successful within the workforce. Another resource that I want to tell you about real quick is the DoD Skills Bridge program. And this is to help our transitioning service members get the training, industry training, apprenticeship opportunities, and they're doing that prior to leaving the service at 100 days out from leaving the service. helps them acclimate to real world job experiences. Some of the other programs that we have that are throughout North Carolina are working with our WIOA programs or on the job training, as well as employer training grants to help train current employees on a specific program or piece of equipment to help employers improve their opportunities within their area. And also want to give a quick pitch about the apprenticeship programs with our community colleges and potential internships with local employers. That's a huge benefit that we wish more employers would take advantage of throughout our region. And I'm going to turn it back over to Keith to introduce one of our employers that's worked locally with us.
Thanks, Marcus. Awesome information, greatly appreciated. Your slide on outstanding characteristics really resonated with a meeting we had this morning, talking about a program that we've started at ECU, the Eastern Region Pharma Center, and trying to expand the pathways really for the entire region. But the discussion this morning was military talent in the Craven County area with partnership with Craven Community College. And when we talked about the ability for, it's just kind of built into military folks to follow procedures, to work as a team, et cetera. Some of the pharma folks kind of sat forward in their seat and they're like, that's exactly what we need in this regulated industry that we're in. And it's one of the hardest things to teach if it has not been built in already. So that certainly resonated. Thanks again, Marcus. Okay, our third and final panelist this morning is Miss Sarah Myers. She's in the HR business for almost 10 years at Telephonics. She has a specific focus on recruitment and retention, two very challenging things these days. Of note, she's a military family, so her father and husband are both retired from the Navy. It's a very Navy focused group here today, and they spent most of their careers in Norfolk. She's an HR generalist for Telephonics in the new Elizabeth City facility there, and they expanded their footprint a couple of years ago and continue to grow their presence in the local community. So thank you, Sarah, for being with us, and I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thank you, Keith. So again, Sarah Myers, I'm an HR generalist. What I'd like to talk to everybody about today is some tips and tricks on some of the things that I've used. And I am going to be echoing some of the same points that Marcus and Kimberly have made, but I think this is going to be from a different perspective, because you can think of me as being in your shoes. I'm looking for veterans. I want to hire veterans. I want to hire veteran spouses like myself. These are some of the things that have worked well for me. So Marcus actually has my slides up. We're going to start with slide 1 right there. Local resources. Know what's around in your area. I think almost every time I have a new opening, my very first stop is always NC Works. Whether I get it emailed to them or I call Marcus and say, hey, I've got another position available. I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. NC Works has been immensely helpful to me since we opened up a shop here in Elizabeth City. Not only that, with regards to finding specific people, but Marcus always keeps me very updated on various events that might be going on, or did I think about this, or did I think about that? So it's been an absolutely great partnership. Probably one of my very best contacts is NC Works, specifically Marcus. So thank you very much. You also want to make sure that you're looking out for various local veterans Facebook groups. Actually, you'd be quite surprised at the different Facebook groups that you can find. And if you're able to get, a message through to that Facebook group, they can spread the word that, hey, you're looking for certain folks, you've got various positions available. And I think you'd be very shocked at the word of mouth approach. And then number 3 is make sure that you are looking for your closest military bases. So of course, here in Elizabeth City, we've got Coast Guard base Elizabeth City. And like Marcus pointed out earlier, we are very close. In fact, our office here is only 14 miles to the border of Chesapeake, Virginia. So at Hampton Roads, we've got Norfolk, Virginia, the largest Navy base in the whole world is right there. And a lot of the folks that are traveling to work in Virginia actually live in North Carolina. My husband, retired Navy, did it almost his entire career. He's from North Carolina, did not want to leave North Carolina, but he was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia. So don't discount some of the bases that might be just outside of our state line. But we do have those veterans that are making that commute every day. Okay, Marcus, if you could go to the next slide, please. All right, job fairs. This always gets me excited. I think maybe I might be an odd duck, but I love going to job fairs. This is the best resource that you could possibly get. Recruit Military is one of my first stops when it comes to job fairs. They have resumed in-person job fairs just recently, actually, but they also offer virtual job fairs. What I like about that is when you sign up, whether it's in-person or virtual, you now have access to their online database of resumes, which is immensely helpful. These are candidates that maybe they didn't think about a job that you have available, but they're wanting assistance. They send their information in and the resume into Recruit Military, and they let the employers come to them. If you want to be able to get good veterans and spouses interested in your jobs, you are going to have to go after them. And then obviously NC Works. So wanted to do a little plug. Yesterday, Marcus and NC Works here in Elizabeth City did have a veterans specific job fair. It was a great event right here locally. I've got a stack of resumes from a whole slew of different veterans that live right here in Pasquotank County. So again, I'm a big proponent of NC Works. Next slide, please. All right, well, as Marcus gets to the next slide, the last thing I'd like to talk about is military resumes. So ultimately, you're going to get to the point where, okay, you've done all these things. You've reached out, you've gotten in touch with veterans, and they're giving you their resumes. Keep in mind the same points that Kimberly made before, same points Marcus has made. You're going to automatically have those soft skills in place. They have a deep understanding of teamwork, initiative, responsibility, leadership skills. You can teach them the rest, but understand that the rest they might already have. So ultimately, make sure that you're taking the time to do a little bit of research and understand what it is that you're reading. A lot of times you're going to get the resume and you're going to have no idea what an MOS is or a various acronym. So number one, do a little bit of research. Use Google. Go to the military branch specific websites. You'd be surprised at the amount of information is available. Of course, I'm going to mention the United States Navy. I'm a little biased, but if you go to the Navy's website, you can actually look online and see, oh, wait a minute, I know what electronics technician does now, or I know what an FC does now, because they have a little blurb that explains what this actual job is, right? And then the best thing to do is call the candidate and have a conversation with them, do a pre-screen interview, ask them questions. They're going to be able to relate this to everyday life and what you actually might have available as well. I'd like to use an example real quick before I end. My husband actually when he was enlisted, he was an FC, that stands for fire controlman. So sometimes when he says that to various people, when you first meet, oh, what did you do in the Navy? You say, oh, I was a fire controlman. And people automatically say, oh, you were a fireman, or you put out fires. And I'm sorry to say that couldn't be further from the truth. Very simplified, fire controlman is the person that hits the button that fires the missile. Again, very simplified, but has nothing to do with being a fireman or putting out fires. So just as an example there, you wouldn't know that if you read, you know, oh, he's an FC in the United States Navy. So you've got to ask those questions. Use Google, visit those branch specific sites, and really you've got to get your information out there, reach out to these organizations. They can help you in getting the best possible candidates. Of course, in my mind, that's a veteran. To wrap it up, I just want to say it's been extremely successful. I'm looking at some of my numbers here, and actually 50% of our workforce, Marcus, here in Elizabeth City is made up of veterans and spouses. So obviously these avenues work. I'll go ahead and leave it open for any questions.
Sarah, I apologize. Did that last slide come up?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Some fond memories aboard many warships for me. I had some incredible fire controlmen aboard those, and not only are they firing things, they're also just amazing radar experts.
Absolutely.
Very, very technologically proficient, and got me out of many tight spots in my career. The other thing I wanted to follow up with is, you know, thinking about Elizabeth City, you know, that is a tremendous facility that the Coast Guard has there. That is their global node for their aviation logistics center. Every aircraft in the Coast Guard inventory comes through Elizabeth City every 4 or 5 years to be completely refurbished. It's kind of a smaller model of what's happening at Fleet Readiness Center East aboard Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point. Many of the similar capabilities. And also, you know, obviously the Coast Guard is not officially part of DoD. They're part of Department of Homeland Security, but all those same characteristics apply in the leadership and the, you know, familiar with following procedures, teamwork, et cetera, et cetera. So any questions for Sarah from the group? Okay, I don't see any popping in. I am going back to the Q&A block, and I see a question from David Lawrence. This one is for Marcus. You mentioned working with vets in the Hampton Roads and Southern Virginia area. I would be interested in getting more information on events in that area. Although we're a North Carolina-based company, we do have a presence in Chesapeake and would love to help place some veterans in new careers.
Yeah, we have a connection with their offices located in Virginia. And I also work with the transitioning coordinator that works out of the Norfolk location. So their transitioning coordinator comes down to the Coast Guard base in Elizabeth City to assist the transitioning and provide the TAPS class for them. So I have a great connection with them, and can definitely connect you there.
Wonderful, thank you. And then a question in the Q&A from an anonymous attendee. I'm not sure how that happened, Trey. Are there notice boards at the bases to post jobs? And that's not directed to any of our panelists. So if anybody has information on any kind of job posting, then, you know, feel free to jump in.
I've actually tried that. It's a great question. I've tried that, and unfortunately, I was not successful. They're kind of particular about what gets posted on base. Not only that, you're going to have to be able to gain access to the base. So you're gonna have to have a military ID card. But I think if you were to reach out to your local NC Works representative, like Marcus just said, he's got a contact that works up in Norfolk. And I think I know who you're talking about, Marcus, and she comes down here to Elizabeth City as well. I think that would be your first stop. They could get your information out for you.
Go
If I
ahead,
could comment.
Kimberly, sorry.
Yeah, if I could comment on that. So because we're the fourth largest Department of Defense presence, we've got some large bases with a lot 20,000 people exiting that we actually have access to. We are part of TAPS and TRS, so we can actually handle both of those things. So for those of you that I think there was a Virginia company, as you heard earlier in my bio, I did start Virginia Values Vets, which is very similar to NC for me in Virginia. But if what you're looking at is getting veterans military talent, then you probably want to shoot us an email and let us work with you, because we work with the exiting talent in North Carolina. We do not work with the exiting talent in Virginia, but if you say you're a Virginia-based company and you're working out of Virginia, you're a North Carolina-based company, but have spots in Virginia, I would think you might want to look at the talent here in North Carolina. Happy to help you with that. And in regard to job postings on base, obviously, it's difficult to get on base for anybody. We are fortunate to have partnered with Onward to Opportunity, which is the training group on base that's under Institute for Veterans and Military Families out of Syracuse. And they are at many bases across the country. There is one in Fort Bragg, and there is one in Camp Lejeune, and we are part of those organizations. They are, we have a strategic alliance with Onward to Opportunity. So when people exit the military, a lot of them will go to Onward to Opportunity for credentialing and training. When they finish that training, then we can place them in positions. In addition to that, as I said, we're going to be working with the Commander's Council. Our hope is that we can continue our relationship on bases in order to make those transitioning service members aware of the jobs that are available and those companies that are interested in hiring them.
That's great, Kimberly. Thank you. And I'll piggyback just on some personal experience and maybe a tips and tricks for someone who's interested, as opposed to going right after a job posting on base. All the bases have educational support officers, and you heard Kimberly mention TAPS, which is in various services. There's a transitioning program that is set up. And predominantly what those service members are looking for in their transition is, and these don't have to be mutually exclusive. Sometimes it's a combination of a credential, course credits to get into an associate or bachelor degree pipeline, and or a career opportunity. And so, one way to get a foothold on the bases is to talk to the educational support officer who is there. And also the community colleges tend to have very good connections in those areas. I mentioned Craven Community College earlier. They have a presence on Cherry Point, and I'm sure there's other community colleges in or around our installations that have that access. And our community colleges are very, very good at working on industry needs. And so they can combine some things that, they may offer you an opportunity, you, the employer, an opportunity to pay for either some credits or certificates or credentials, and kind of a win-win for both groups. And I see one last Q&A from Ms. Wanda Williams. Do we have many veterans, I'm assuming, transitioning to the Pitt County area?
That is a tough question to answer. I would say that we have a large group of transitioning service members that want to stay in North Carolina, and Greenville is an excellent location. So I don't know how to give you an answer to that question with a number, but I think there's a lot of great opportunities coming up in Greenville. in the Pitt County area, and some excellent employers there to keep our veterans in that location.
Agree completely, Marcus. We're seeing signs all over the place about expansion in the pharma manufacturing sector. Aerospace is kind of getting back up on step post-pandemic. Our boat manufacturing sector in Eastern North Carolina is like none other in the world. Very unique, and they're all craving those very dependable, skilled workforce folks that are kind of tailor-made coming out of uniform. Okay, Trey, it looks like we've gone over.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you, Keith. Before I turn it over to Van to close this out, I do want to remind everyone that this session was recorded, and we will send out the recording in a follow-up email along with all the panelists' contact information. If you had any questions that weren't answered, you can contact them once we send out that email. So Van, go ahead and close this out.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Our third session on the Untapped Talent Pool occurs December 2nd. We'll be focusing on hiring individuals with disabilities. Hope you can join us on that one. Also, December 17th, that's the first date that the Federal Reserve can talk about our economy, where we're going. So we'll have an update on the Eastern North Carolina economy and regional economy. Hope you can join us for those two things. Have a great day. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, speakers. Everybody did a great job. Bye-bye.